We booked and went. We booked and went. Yeah, it's not much for you. Yeah, well, the next
Okay. I'll make about 7:30. No, I don't. 5:30.
Bring it in a minute because I need to make sure I can hear.
It's going to be a long night. Can I ask any members or officers in physical attendance with an electronic device to mute it to avoid feedback? Can I ask that any remote participants keep their camera and microphone off unless they wish to speak, and ideally not use the camera facility at all, as this can affect the quality of the meeting? We don't have the owl. Yes. Please advise that the meeting may be recorded and data collected during the recording of the meeting will be retained in accordance with the Council's data retention policy. The recording of the meeting may be added to the Council's website. Members accessing the meeting remotely should use your laptops. Can I ask members to speak loudly and clearly into their microphones and switch their microphone off after speaking, otherwise remote participants may be unable to hear the next speaker. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Extraordinary Policy and Resources Committee meeting, including any visiting members attending remotely and members of the public. I hope you all had a happy new year and an enjoyable seasonal break. The following staff are in attendance in the meeting room or remotely. Chief Executive Larissa Reid, the Director of Resources Lisa Fillery, Monitoring Officer David Clifford is online. The Head of Finance and Procurement Claire Stanbury, the Head of Environment and Leisure Martin Cassell, the Team Lead of Contentious and Corporate Governance Robin Harris, and Democratic Services Joe Millard and Kelly McKenzie. I'll advise that no fire is planned, and if the alarm sounds, those in attendance should leave via the exits indicated and assemble outside where directed. Please do not use the lift. Does anyone in attendance require extra assistance to make themselves good to get out? Okay, lovely. I'd just like to remind people to go through the chair and not engage with direct conversations with officers. Are there any? Oh, this is an agenda item. Agenda item 2, apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chairman. Apologies have been received from Councillor Lloyd Bowen, who's substituted by Councillor Ken Ingleton, and late apologies have been received from Councillor Bill Tatton, and there's no substitute. Thank you.
Thank you. Agenda item 3, declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations of interest? There are no hands. There's only one item on the agenda, which is a Part A report for recommendation to full council. The decision to award the waste contract was taken by the Extraordinary Environment Committee before Christmas, and tonight's report seeks allocation and approval of the funding of the fleet for the contract. Please be advised that the report is an open report with a confidential appendix, and if there are any questions on the confidential appendix, can members save these until confirmation has been sought for the meeting to enter closed session, and any press in public in attendance have left the chamber or been removed remotely. Agenda item 4, is the allocation and approval of funding for the waste and street cleansing fleet procurement. And can I ask Officer Martin Castell to introduce the report, please?
Thank you, Chair, and Happy New Year to all councillors. I think you're probably a little bit fed up of hearing from me on a waste contract, but for those that weren't at the Environment Committee, I'll just do a very quick summary. So the Environment Committee agreed to award the waste and street cleansing contract to Company A on the 19th of December. That decision has been taken and is not necessarily the subject of review tonight. One of the recommendations within the Environment Committee was to ask P&R and then subsequently Council to approve the funding of the vehicle fleet and to place it into the capital programme, and that's what's for debate tonight. The current medium-term financial strategy has enough money in it to award the contract, so that's the current MTFS in the budget, has enough to cover the contract award. However, the purchase of the fleet is not in the capital programme and therefore the MTFS. Now, all of the figures that you're looking at tonight in the appendices are included in the draft budget, which is out for consultation at the moment. So I think that the question therefore is why an extraordinary meeting tonight? Why not wait till the 22nd of February for that decision? Well, for reasons that we've explained both at the contract extension meeting that we held with the Environment Committee and in the main Environment Committee discussion, we've had to do the extension because of the long lead-in time of vehicles. And so in order to get the vehicles for the new contract start date, we can't wait until the 22nd of February to place the order on the vehicles. Otherwise, we run the risk of not having the vehicles for the start of the contract and therefore disruption to the service. So that's why we are having the meeting this evening. The final thing I would say is one of the recommendations in the report is to, given the economic situation, given the changing way that funding is working at the moment, we ask for a recommendation to delegate to Lisa Fillery as Section 1501 officer to be able to make decisions on how the funding is provided for the fleet in order to get the best deal for the council. So therefore, the two recommendations are to recommend to council to approve the fleet funding as included in the appendices and to give that delegation to Section 151 officer to adjust the detailed financing and maximise the value for the council.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, so the recommendations are unnumbered page. In the report, this debate is about the fleet funding. Any questions? Councillor Simmons.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chairman. Could I just ask for a point of clarification? Mr. Cassell has just said that the figures contained in the blue appendix are within the draft budget, which is out for public consultation. Why have we got an exempt appendix at this evening's meeting?
Can you save that for item 5 when we discuss that, or would you like to? Oh, Lisa would like to answer that now.
Thank you. Because there is no detail within the medium-term financial strategy. The figures are included within a lump sum on the line. The fleet vehicle figure is in the medium-term financial strategy because that number is what we need to be able to acquire the fleet. But the total cost of the contract is broken down over several columns within the strategy, so you can't actually identify the exact contract cost from that.
Thank you.
We're here till nearly 7 o'clock, so I want to see a few more hands. Councillor Simmons, it's going to be a good night.
Chairman, I have to say that I'm not convinced that a sufficient argument has been put forward for actually purchasing the fleet. I think it's a risk, a considerable risk to the council. I have to say that when I first heard that we had, the council had approached Biffa to ask them if they would sell us their vehicles, I was quite surprised. It was almost, I thought, sounded like we were offering Biffa the door. And we didn't want them anymore, but we wanted their vehicles. And I don't think, and then of course they were effectively 10-year-old vehicles, although some may have been renewed during the contract. We're now suggesting that the council spends a lot of money to buy a fleet of vehicles, which is not our core business. And at a time when we as councillors should be striving to keep council expenses as low as feasibly possible, while still delivering a service, thereby making sure that residents' council taxes are kept to the lowest sum, so as that we can manage the council. And I'm just not convinced that the strong enough argument has been put forward for spending this large amount of money on buying an asset which is going to deteriorate and go down in value over a period of 8 years, not to zero, admittedly, but nonetheless, it's going to be a drain on the resources of the council, and I'm not keen on the idea at all. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Simmons. I would remind you that both Ashford and Maidstone councils have decided to go down the same route and have already made that decision. Councillor Saunders.
Thank you. I think I support these recommendations this evening. We had a good discussion at the Environment Committee about the overall contract, and we also discussed at some length this issue about purchasing the vehicles and them being owned by the council, and the need to support officers' recommendations, including this one about owning the vehicles, was clear, very clear to most members of the committee. I think in the paper that you've got this evening, the benefits of going into this arrangement are clearly laid out. And the first benefit is cost savings. So I don't quite understand Councillor Simmons' suggestion that we're playing fast and loose with council tax payers' money. In fact, I think we're going down this route will save us money, and that's been recognised by Councillor Simmons' party colleagues in Ashford and Maidstone, who feel this is the best way forward, and that owning the vehicles is the economic thing. Also, for the council, owning the vehicles will give us more control if we have any contract failure, and will also allow us to control assets at the end of the contract. In the paper, it's made clear how risk will be managed through the contract and through financial penalties. So I think it's a good arrangement, and I think at this point where we've got lots of financial challenges, I think doing something which will help our finances is very sensible. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Saunders. Councillor Truelove.
Chairman, I don't think I need to speak because the points I was going to make have just been made by somebody who obviously knows what he's talking about. The only thing I would say is, when did we have to start standing up at committee meetings?
I'm not going to stop people getting the exercise.
Brown out.
Oh, yeah. Councillor Whiting.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm grateful to Councillor Truelove for explaining the procedures. So I will remain seated. I'm sorry, Chairman, but I'm not here representing Ashford or Maidstone. I'm here representing the residents of Swale. And I know we're in a partnership with these other authorities, but it's in our gift, or it's in the gift of the coalition administration to sit within that, or to come out of it. I have to agree with everything that Councillor Simmons says, not wanting to repeat it, but we are presented with an approve or else scenario with our backs against the wall. And I always object to being put in that position as a member, and I think that's a result of, I may say, the maladministration of the coalition over the last few years, that we've been put in this position where we have to accept something or else. Again, it's another extraordinary meeting. I think in all the years I've been on this council, and others like Councillor Truelove will probably fail to remember having extraordinary meetings in the quantity that we've had them over the last few months. And I think that again shows a lack of control on the tiller. I'm disappointed that we're not going down a greener route here. I'm disappointed that we're not buying electric vehicles, because that's what we were told we would be aspiring to, but we're not doing it. That's not a tick, that's a big X, as far as I'm concerned, against that particular box, and therefore, for those reasons, I can't support the recommendation. Thank you, Chairman.
Councillor Bonny.
Thank you very much. I think to pick up on those previous comments, we are in the position we're in due to the existing contract, which was before our time, and it's left us with very few options, not least that we don't own our fleet. And one of the positives, as highlighted by a previous councillor and also in the report, is that gives us the flexibility in the future to be a bit more in control of our destiny. I mean, it is clear how this contract has panned out, and the number of bidders and an extremely small pool there are, and the state of the UK waste collection market. It is ultimately the responsibility of this council to make sure our waste collections are duly collected, and to do that as efficiently as possible. And I think the officers have put an awful lot of legwork in to understand how we can best adapt going forwards. And I think the option and recommendations presented to us tonight clearly set that out, and I shall be supporting them. Thank you.
Okay, in the absence of any other hands, I will move to recommend. Oh, Councillor Valentine.
Thank you, Chair. Well, I want to pick up some of the points that the opposition have raised. On the one hand, we're being told that buying the fleet means in some way we're being reckless with public money, although it's been pointed out, in fact, it saves us money. And then on the other hand, we're told that we should be purchasing electric vehicles, which would cost considerably more. So I'm not sure what the opposition want. Do they want a cheaper contract, or do they want a more environmentally friendly contract? I would love to have be able to recommend that we're buying electric vehicles, but we're advised by the industry that this isn't achievable at the moment. So it's not only cost, it's a matter of the logistics of being able to run electric vehicles. So I would point out the contract does reduce carbon emissions in a number of ways by rerouting the rounds to make the collection more efficient, and by using electric vehicles in the street sweeping and the supervisors' vehicles. The vehicles we're proposing to purchase Euro 6 emission vehicles, so they'll be considerably cleaner than the vehicles that are being used at the moment, and they will use electric lifts to lift the bins, further improving the efficiency. So I just don't understand what the opposition want us to do, and I would love to hear a clear recommendation from them. Do they want us to spend more on this contract, or do they want to spend less? And I noticed on the Environment Committee, there was a unanimous vote from the opposition against recommending this contract. So what do you want us to do? How do you want us to make sure the bins are emptied if we don't recommend this contract?
Thank you, Councillor Valentine. Well, the next speaker is the leader of the opposition, Councillor Horton. So hopefully he'll be able to outline the opposition's plans for the way forward, preferred way forward.
Thank you, Chair. I've got no intention of engaging in political tittle-tattle. I just wanted to ask that you consider the two recommendations separately rather than as a. Thank you.
Can I get a seconder?
You didn't.
Well, I thought we'd have a debate first, and then move it. But,
Can I second councillor Hall? I was actually done later, it was a question of the chair.
are we happy to do that? Take both second, take them well, take two recommendations separately?
Result will be the same.
Yes, but it'll fill the gap till 7 o'clock. Okay, I'm going to,
I have no objection to councillor Gordon's proposal, but can we have a recorded vote?
yeah, both, second. Okay, we will have two votes on each, one on each recommendation, and each will be a recorded vote. I will now formally move and ask for a seconder. Councillor Saunders got there first for the first one. So, the first recommendation is that the committee recommends the council to approve the fleet funding as outlined within the appendix, and it is included in the mid-term financial strategy and capital programme. I've got to go through the names. Right. Councillor, me, 4. Councillor Bonney. Oh, you've got to do it in your.
Oh, sorry, 4.
Councillor Ingleton.
We're a bit raspy on
Abstain.
Councillor Dendor.
Against.
Councillor Gibson.
Could I just confirm, you said mid-term, do you mean medium term?
Medium term, yes, thank you. Well corrected and picked up, and 4. Voted that one down, pedant. Councillor Henderson. Councillor Horton.
Against.
Councillor Saunders. 4. Councillor Simmons.
Against.
Councillor Truelove.
4.
Councillor Valentine. 4. Councillor Whiting.
Against.
Councillor Woodford.
4.
Did I get everybody? Add them up now, I'm not being prompted.
8-4-1.
Okay, so the score is 8-4,
1 abstention.
1 abstention and 4 against. So that recommendation is carried. I'll move recommendation 2, that the committee recommends to council that delegated authority is given to the section 151 officer to adjust the detailed financing of the scheme if required to maximise the value for the council. Can I have a seconder, please? That's Councillor Henderson. This will also be a recorded vote. So exciting. Me, 4. Councillor Bonney.
4.
Councillor Ingleton.
Against.
That changed. That makes it worthwhile. Councillor Dendor.
Against.
Councillor Gibson.
Pedantly 4.
Councillor Henderson. Councillor Horton. Councillor Saunders. 4. Councillor Simmons. 4. Councillor Truelove.
4.
Councillor Valentine.
4.
Councillor Whiting.
4.
Councillor Woodford.
4.
Two again. So that's 11-4, 2 against. So that recommendation is carried.
Chair, did you do maths to 18?
I didn't, no. I specialised in Anglo-Saxon history after I left school, so my maths was obviously shot to pieces. Do we go on to item 5 now?
Oh, yes, I want to refer to the. It's too late now, they've done the vote.
Oh, apparently item 5 is now not required, so see you all in about 64 minutes. Thank you all very much.
You've got a long forward team that you're after.